Hey, Def Floyd, how you doing? So I had to make an adjustment with OBS. I noticed that my last two streams, the audio was out of sync, and I think part of it is because I've got two different audio sources coming out. You know, the Pro, Def Floyd, a lot of it I think is a case by case basis. I've seen videos where you can tell the difference, and I've seen videos where you can't tell the difference. I did a stream this morning where I tested out several VR games. Some of them I saw no difference whatsoever, but in all fairness, those ones didn't get the patch. As far as VR goes, on PSVR 2, the games that did get a patch was Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil Village, No Man's Sky, and Kayak VR. I don't have Kayak VR on PSVR 2 because I already have it on PC, and part of me really saw no reason to buy it. Because it's a wonderful looking game, but it's not going to look as good as it does on PC. That's just the way it is. But Resident Evil 4 Remake, the big thing that I noticed with that versus what I remember on PS5 is that I didn't notice any aliasing. It ran absolutely superb, and the reprojection caused the reprojection that you get from the PSVR 2 headset. It's a really beautiful game, and although I don't have it on PSVR 2, I'm pretty sure Kayak VR is still a beautiful game on PSVR 2. I hear so much about it. Yeah, hey man, yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a second, and that's one of, um, I'm gonna get to the GT7 thing. But let me talk about again the Resident Evil 4 remake. What I noticed was what stood out to me when I booted up the game was no aliasing. The game ran excellent, and the reprojection was so minimal that I thought the game was running at a native frame rate. And whenever I did see the reprojection, it was so minimal that in most cases it wouldn't even be worth talking about. Resident Evil Village, the reprojection was a little bit. Yeah, now from what I'm understanding, with GT7, Def Floyd. Well, let me finish up this Resident Evil thing. Resident Evil Village, real quick. It looked good. I didn't see any aliasing. The reprojection was a little more pronounced. I did notice the reprojection a little bit more, and whenever I turned, it wasn't as smooth as it was on the Resident Evil 4 remake. So it was slightly skittish. Moving on to No Man's Sky, it ran excellent, and again, at least when I was on the ground, the reprojection was, minimal. Now, when I was in the ship and flying around, when I flew straight, everything was good. But whenever I would turn the ship, I did notice some reprojection. It wasn't game breaking though. But compared to one thing I definitely know is that it definitely ran a lot better than the PS5 version in VR. There's still some slight aliasing. You know, there's still some slight shimmering in the very fine detail, but again, all things considered, I think it still looked pretty good. So those are the games that got a pro patch, but I think they have not utilized the pisser technology. So even though these games that I mentioned got a pro patch, they are still using the AMD's FSR, technology. So I'd imagine once PSVR 2 gets the pisser technology, if they go back and apply that to the games that I just mentioned, I'd imagine that they'll probably look even better yet. So what it seems to me is that the PS5 Pro, to me, other than being able to do ray tracing and still run some of these games at 60 frames per second, I guess it sounds to me like you could almost call the PS5 Pro a sharpening box. When it's noticeable, you can see that some of these games are sharper. The ray tracing thing, ray tracing is very, very taxing on hardware. Even on my 4090 PC, whenever I boot up Cyberpunk, you have different options with the ray tracing. You can make it minimal, or you can turn it all the way up to extreme. I think that's the settings. So if you were to turn the graphics all the way up to epic, and you were to turn the ray tracing all the way up to epic, you will not get over 60 frames per second unless you use DLSS or the DLSS 3 frame generation. Ray tracing is very, very taxing. And that's one of the reasons why I was like pretty impressed with Forza on PC. The ray tracing, it's the night games, the night races are beautiful. The night races in the rain just looks absolutely incredible. I don't know if it looks that good on the Xboxes. I know it don't look like that on the Series S, but the Series X, I don't know. So I've already talked to my son. He has a Series X. At some point, I'm going to download Forza on his Series X and take a look at it and see what the ray tracing looks like over there, assuming it has ray tracing. Now, coming back to GT7. So somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but the flat screen version of the game got a patch, and what you're getting is the ability to run the game at 60 frames per second with the ray tracing on, or if you run it in performance mode, it'll run at 120 frames per second without the ray tracing. Now, that is where I'm scratching my head a little bit. That it took them to have to build to give you an entirely different console for the ray tracing. So I'll put it this way. I can't jump the gun and say that yet. When I take a look at the Series X, if the ray tracing is there on Forza on the Series X, then I'm going to question, why did Sony have to build a totally new console in order to get ray tracing on Gran Turismo? Because currently on the PS5, there is no in-game ray tracing. The ray tracing only applies in photo mode, from what I'm understanding. Forza on PC, the ray tracing is just there. But I don't know on the Series X. It's something I gotta, I'll have to take a look at it. I think when we go to sleep, I'm gonna download it on my son's Series X and take a look at it in the morning. And then again, if it doesn't have ray tracing in game, then yes, now I understand. But if it does have ray tracing in game on the Series S, then that's going to have me back to asking, why did Sony have to build a totally new console in order to get in-game ray tracing on GT7? I watched YouTuber Black Panther. He's got about 1.64 million subs, and he showed the differences with GT7. So if you run it with the ray tracing on, it runs at 60 frames per second with ray tracing, and it looks pretty good. But if you go for the performance mode at 120 frames per second. He said there is a downgrade in the resolution, and he was able to notice some jaggies. So that's the flat screen. Now, PSVR 2, GT7 on PSVR 2. Originally, I was not going to buy the PS5 Pro. The reason why I did buy it was because of Frogboy 1X Gaming. He did a video. He posted a video, and what he said he saw as far as PSVR 2 goes on GT7, he said he felt the picture was cleaner. The picture was a little bit sharper. He said it ran smoother. And the thing that caught my ears, made my ears perk up, is when he said the blur is gone. I'm like, whoa, okay, now I got to go get it. So when I did my initial stream on Thursday, oh, he also said the mirror was gone, that he didn't see any mirror. So my initial reaction when I did the stream Thursday night on GT7 on PSVR 2, my initial reaction was maybe I think I felt like the mirror was gone because I didn't see that dirty tint like I normally do on the PS5. And, and I talked to my friend Ham about that, and he found that to be odd because mirror is a headset problem and not a console problem or a PC problem. It's all in the headset. So he found that rather odd that that the mirror seemed to be gone with the Pro. So that's a little bit of a head scratcher there. I also felt like sharpness inside the car. It did seem a little bit sharper where anywhere where I looked directly and stayed within the sweet spot of the lenses did look a little bit sharper. Cleaner? I don't know. At times I felt like it looked cleaner. At times I felt like it looked the same as the PS5 because the game still looks good on the PS5 regardless. My biggest gripe with GT7 on PSVR 2 was the reprojection. When you go around corners, you notice the blur, and that blur is still there on PS5 Pro. Unfortunately, at times it was minimal. At times it was enough to be distracting, and in GT7. I would say the improvements that I noticed were so minimal that if you opted not to get the PS5 Pro and wanted to stay with your PS5, I would totally understand that. That being said, a Pro patch is supposed to be on the way for GT7. What I don't know is whether it's going to be a Pro patch or if it's going to be a Pro patch and use PSSR. And I don't know whether it'll benefit PSVR 2 or not. So that remains to be seen. So when we finally do get that patch, which Black Panther was guessing that we'll probably get it at the end of the month or the beginning of next month. When we finally do get that patch, at that point, I'll make a final decision. If the patch is noticeable improvements, then I'll go ahead and keep my Pro. But if I see absolutely no difference at all, I may opt to sell the Pro and recover whatever money I can from it because it'll be outside of the return window, and just stay with my PS5. So right now, I still have my PS5. The reason I opted to go ahead and buy the console flat out. The reason I did not trade it in is because if I trade in my PS5, I bring the PS5 Pro home, I take a look at it, and I see absolutely zero improvements. Well, it's too late. I'm stuck with it now because I've already traded in my PS5. There's no going back. So by me keeping my PS5, if I decide to return the Pro, then I can get all of my money back, and I still got my PS5. Again, right now, if there was no Pro patch coming for GT7, yeah, I would get rid of the Pro. But since there is a patch coming, I'm going to take the leap of faith and believe that PSVR 2 will benefit from it. So that being said, I'm 55-45 in favor of keeping the Pro. In all likelihood, I'm going to keep it, but this is only the second time in all my years of video games that I bought something and questioned whether or not I should keep it or not. The first time that ever happened to me was the Xbox One. I bought that. I bought the PS4, and then my Xbox friends was like, hey, come on, man, you got to get an Xbox, man. You got to join us, yada, yada, yada. I bought the Xbox One, and I was thoroughly disgusted with it. And I was so disgusted with that Xbox One that I didn't even take it to the store to get my money back. I took it to my youngest brother's. I took it to his place. I knocked on the door. He opened the door, and I handed the box to him and left. Now, I shit you not, I just here and left. So, but yeah, I think we're ready to get into some racing now. So I gave you guys the breakdown, gave you guys my thoughts on PS5 Pro. So it looks to me like the majority of the VR people are opting to wait to see what happens with the PS5 Pro in terms of other games getting Pro support. Whereas, one person that really surprised me was Jammy Hero. He's opting not to get it, and he's opting to wait until the PS6 comes out, which I was a little shocked by that. I was also shocked that Brian Paul elected to get the PS5 Pro. And I think AJ is a PSVR Underground. I think he's elected to wait too. So that being said, as far as the VR community goes, I guess you could say I took one for the team. I really don't have a lot of use for the Pro as far as flat games go, especially third-party flat games. But I will say that assuming I keep the Pro, if I decide to pick up Grand Theft Auto 6, it is a little bit relieving to know that I will have the best version of GTA 6 until it comes to PC, because people are saying that GTA 6 won't come to PC until a year later. So that might be when, depending on the gap between PS5 and PS5 Pro, that might be when the PS5 Pro sales might start to pick up, when we see what GTA 6 looks like on GTA PS5 Pro. All right, let's get going here. Jeez, I don't know. Should I stick with my McLaren or? You're welcome, Amen. So, again, folks, I had to mute one of the audio sources. So, normally, whenever you guys type in comments, the speech chat will play it back and you guys will hear it. Well, because I had to mute one of the audio sources, you guys do not hear the speech chat, but I still hear it inside this headset. So if you guys make a comment, I can still hear it, but you guys don't hear the speech chat playing it back. So, you know, so I'll do the best I can and say, hey, you know, I'll you know, say your name and then respond to your comments as best as I can. But Thursday night, you know, the speech chat got a little overwhelming because there was a lot of comments coming in. It was like as soon as I tried to respond to one comment, another one came in. But that's understandable because, you know, it was the release of new hardware. Well, we'll wait for the entry period to start. I don't know. I'm tempted to... try the Ford GT again. Well, it's got less horsepower and it's heavier. The Corvette on here, it has more horsepower than my McLaren, but it is a little bit heavier. The thing that's scary about that Corvette is that it's really easy to spin that car out. Damn, even that Beetle. The Beetle. Damn, but this AMG has got 614 horsepower. And it's only 60 pounds heavier than the McLaren. Why not? Let's give it a try. And we'll wait for the entry period to start up, and then we'll take it on the track and test it. So my qualifying time of 144.6, I actually did faster than that in an actual race. I think my fastest time in a race is actually, I think it was actually a 143.6. J-Dog, how you doing? One thing that I'm not liking about the PS5 Pro is how the console war angle to the PS5 Pro. Now, again with the PS5 Pro, it's a case-by-case basis. Some people are seeing a difference with some games. Some people are not seeing a difference with some games. So some games seem to be taking advantage of the Pro. Some of them do not. Some of them you can seem to see the difference. Some of them you can't. What I'm not liking is the fanboy angle of this console. What I'm not liking is people being critical of this console that don't have it. And a lot of it seems to be the Xbox people. it seems that a lot of them are being critical of this console when they don't have it. They're calling it a scam, and they've watched videos, but to me, that's not enough to go by. I think you still gotta see it for yourself, because videos only do so much. You know, especially with me hearing about YouTube videos being compressed and stuff like that. So, me, I'm not a console war guy. I don't have a dog in this fight. You know, my preference is PC, but regardless of what platform I'm playing it on, I still love virtual reality. And I'm not a fanboy. I'm not paid by Sony or Microsoft or anybody. So, and I bought it with my own money. So, Craig, when this game gets the pro patch, I hope the effect will be massive. How about that? How you doing, my guy? Okay, I gotta find a sweet spot. Craig, if you're still watching, how are you enjoying your PlayStation Pro? think I can work with this car. That's my fastest lap yet. Woo! I got greedy. But I'm gonna go ahead and take that. That's my fastest lap. I just beat my best qualifying lap by almost a second and a half. It was at 144.6. I just did 143.3 just now. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. No diddy. 143.2. So yeah, I slashed off almost a whole second and a half off of my lap time. That's going to be a little bit of a help when we go into the lineup, because the 144s that I was in was getting me towards the back of the pack. Hopefully this 143 will get me into the middle of the pack. The racing for this daily race has been treacherous. So I am planning to go one lap and then I'm going to pit so I can try to undercut the rest of the field. All right, so we'll just chill out for the moment and wait for the race to start. You know, coming back to, talking about the PS5 Pro, YouTuber Kirith, he did a video trying to show the difference between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. That is a good point, because when I rebuilt one of my computers, it already had a 1 terabyte Samsung 980 Pro, and at the time that I paid for that, it was a 1 terabyte M.2 drive for $189. Then one of my other computers in the other room that I rebuilt, I put a 990 Pro in that one, and I caught it on sale for $150, and that was 1 terabyte. So what I'm trying to say is a 2 terabyte M.2 drive, depending on the brand that you buy, can easily cost you $200. Then there's the GPU. People are saying that the GPU within the PS5 Pro is the equivalent of maybe an AMD 6800 XT or a NVIDIA 4060. Brand new, I believe, an RTX 4060 brand new, I think it's still going to cost you around $500 or $600. I have to go back and Google it again, but I think they might have said the CPU within the PS5 Pro, because it's basically the same CPU, just, with a 10% boost. I think I might have read that that's the equivalent of like a AMD 3700 or something, which that is that's fairly cheap, because I think I saw that for about $150 maybe, and you could probably get it even cheaper on eBay. But yeah, but yeah, if you were to build a PC, just the GPU in the M.2 drives, just that alone, it's going to cost you anywhere between $500 and $700. Then, as far as building the PC goes, you still got the motherboard, the RAM, the power supply units, fans for the CPU, the case, mouse and keyboard. But like when the Pro was first announced, I was one of the people that said from the start that I felt like the $700 asking price was fair. Because when people was pissing and crying about the PS5 in the Xbox Series X being $500, I thought both of them were worth $500 because you would not be able to build a PC for $500 at the time that can do what the PS5 and the Xbox Series X can do. So at the time that the Xbox Series X launched, there seemed to be no reason to buy it because every game that was available on the Series X was also available on PC. So from that standpoint, you know, conventional wisdom or the general consensus would be build a PC. But now I kind of walk that back, because what if you want that power without the headache, without the PC headaches? That being said, I think there is I think the Xbox Series X has just as much of a place in the gaming landscape is the PS5. There is a use case scenario for that console. If you want PC-like performance without the PC headaches. Same thing with the PS5. If you wanted PC-like performance without the PC headaches, and with the PS5, at least at that time you had the added bonus of the exclusives. But now their exclusives going to PC like a year later. So I guess the incentive for the PS5 and the PS5 Pros, if you want to play their exclusives and don't want to wait for them to come to PC, that is an added, that is an added benefit. Watching my son in the next room. He's playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and still looks pretty good for an old game. J-Dog, I do not have a problem with the PS5 Pro not having a disc drive, because I have 4 PCs laying around here that in total I have, about maybe a little over $10,000 in my 4 PCs in terms of how much came out of pocket. That they may not quite be worth $10,000. Hold on, I gotta get my headset on. But the bottom line of it, J Dog, is I have 4 PCs. None of them have a disk drive. So if I build 4 PCs and it cost me over $10,000 to build these 4 PCs, and none of them have a disk drive, I would look really silly crying about a PlayStation not having a disk drive. In fact, when the PS5 launched, I was looking to get the PS5 digital in order to save $100 because that's $400. It doesn't have a disk drive, but I thought, $400 for a console that powerful, I thought was an excellent value. That being said, no, I don't have a problem with the console not having a disk drive. The other cars behind me, I'm going to let these cars go because I don't want to get caught up in a fight with the rest of these cars. I'm just going to do one lap. I'm going to come in, pit so I can undercut the rest of the cars and then have a clean shot because that worked for me last time. I actually ended up finishing third. Oh shit. Please don't give me a penalty for that. See, like I said, I'm not going to fight through these slower cars. I'm just going to let them go, and I'm coming into the pits right now. Because these cars are going to wipe each other out. And I don't want to get caught in the middle of it. If I can stay in the 143s on my lap time, this strategy will pay off. But if I spin out, or if I'm turning in lap times in the 145s, then no, this plan is going to backfire. Oh, missed gear. He got a 1 second penalty. I just got to stay with him. I tried, folks. Took 7th. Considering that wait a minute, somebody got hit with a that Huracan. He got caught with a 1 second penalty, but that's not going to affect his finish. But yeah, considering that I qualified 12th, I believe, and finished 7th, the undercut strategy worked. Yeah, I started 13th. So, not bad. Oh, 6 stars. Oh my goodness. It's probably gonna be a trash ticket, but oh my goodness. Yeah, I really like that, but we're gonna try a different car. I think I'm feeling like boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I really wanna go with the Ford GT. You know, I know the Lamborghini's been the meta car on this game, but I feel with the undercut strategy, oh, you know, why not? Why not? Why not? All right. Yeah, I think we had a decent finish that race. Qualified 13th and yeah, finished 7th. Not bad. So, for the few people that are still in here, if any of you have the Pro, how are you liking it? And what did you buy it for? Did you buy it for PSVR or for the flat screen games? I will say this about like maybe using well, let me sit in front of the mic again so you guys can hear me. I'll say this again about Resident Evil 4 on the PS5 Pro, PSVR 2. It looked and ran good enough that I do not see the need to go get the VR mod for it on PC. Naturally, I think the PC would be the better looking. It would look best on PC, but I wouldn't want to deal with the hassle of a mod on PC, because sometimes those mods can be janky. Sometimes mods can even break the game. And from what I'm hearing, the mod on PC, I think it might have been Cold Yogurt that said that the PC mod doesn't even recognize the Sense controllers when you use the PSVR 2 on PC. So it wouldn't be worth it for that headache. That being said, if I'm playing the Resident Evil 4 remake on PSVR 2, oh man, you got no disk drive. So in the scalpers, in the scalpers are probably having a field day with the disk drives. Now some people are accusing Sony of underproducing the disk drive in order to force people to buy their games digitally. Because some people think that's a ridiculous theory, but I don't think that's all that ridiculous, because when you buy the games digitally, I totally understand. Yeah, totally understand that, Fur Burger. Totally understand that. I'm taking the leap of faith that based on what I saw on the Resident Evil 4 remake, I'm having faith that the patch will do this game some justice. But coming back to that disk drive problem, Brownhound, yeah, that sucks. But I think I kind of believe that theory about Sony probably preferring people to buy games digitally, because for one thing, they don't have to pay the middlemen that manufacture the disc in the stores, the retailers that sell the physical copies. They won't have to give them a cut of a digital sale. So I think that probably does make a little bit of sense. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay. I totally get it. But I've gotten lazy in my old age. and I said it earlier in this podcast that I built 4 PCs and none of them have a disk drive. So I'm not in a place to complain about the PS5 Pro not having a disk drive. But anybody who stands on business about wanting a disk drive, I don't have a problem with that. All right, we got about a minute to go before we can jump into the next race. I actually, like a dummy, I actually should have jumped in and got a couple of practice laps in because this Ford GT is going to be a little bit different. Now that AMG that I just drove felt pretty good, but the car was a little bit unstable. The car felt like it wanted to spin out on me. All right, let's get suited up. Let's get suited and booted. Well, another reason why I don't have a problem going digital is because when I buy a game, a lot of times it's not a situation where oh yeah, absolutely, I'll do my best. So when I buy a game, whether it's physical or digital, I buy a game most times because I'm interested in it. Now, if it's a game that I have moderate interest in, I probably will wait for a sale before I buy it. And so if the game normally retails for 60, 70 bucks and I happen to catch it for 25 or 30 bucks and I buy it and the game ends up being a dud, then I'll just go ahead and take that loss because I didn't pay full price for it. You know, and maybe it'll be a situation where, okay, it'll go into my backlog and maybe when I come back to it at a later time, maybe I'll end up liking it. So, but I very rarely spend $70 on a game that I'm not 100% sure that I want. There has been times where I was 100% certain. Oh boy. Well, why did you wait so long to order a disc? Yeah, why did you wait so long to get a disc? I mean, you knew the minute that you had. No, the game hasn't been patched yet. But again, based on what I saw, oh my God, I'm dead last. Based on what I saw with the Resident Evil remake, which was patched, I'm very hopeful about this game when it does get the patch. That Lambo had a rusted hood on it. It looked like doo-doo. Okay, I get it. I'm making sure I'm going out of my way not to fight these guys, cause I'm coming in right now. Damn, he hit the wall coming into the pits. That hurt. Sitting there with the wheel, the disc, with the disc, with the game, with the Pro, with no drive. That was scary. A turn too early. Yeah, I'm a lot slower with this car than I was with the AMG. Yeah, this car's got a lot of understeer too. You gotta really let off the throttle to get this car to go around corners. after what I saw, Tantrum, with Resident Evil 4, I think it showed what they could probably do with this game with a proper patch. Because if I had to base it on this game alone without the patch, no, this console is not worth keeping. But based on what I saw with Resident Evil 4, I do believe that once this gets a patch and it's pisser supported, I do believe my biggest concerns will probably be alleviated, and that is the reprojection. That one, I totally missed that one, Tantrum. So what happened with something with the Pro? What I noticed with Resident Evil 4, when I first booted it up on the Pro for PSVR 2, because it did get a patch, first thing I noticed was no aliasing. Second thing I noticed was how smooth the game ran. The second thing I noticed was how good the game ran. And lastly, and most importantly, the reprojection was so minimal that I actually thought the game was running natively for a second. Yes, it is. Oh, damn it, I gotta have a second penalty. That's gonna cost me. Because they might tack a... Yep, they tacked a full 1 second penalty on me. And it cost me. I just lost the place and fell down to 10th place. But, yeah, I'm done with that Ford GT. It's either moving forward, at least on this particular race, I either go back to the AMG or I go back to my McLaren. One second, Roundhound. I'll tell you in a second once I get this headset off. Alright, so I lost a little bit on that one. Let's go ahead and get registered for the next race. This time I'm going to go with my McLaren. Okay, so what games did I try earlier? This morning, I did a stream where I went through a variety of games and played them for like 5 or 10 minutes and gave you my on-the-spot impressions. So the games that I took a look at this morning in my earlier stream, so go back and check that out. I checked out Resident Evil 4 Remake in VR. I checked out Resident Evil Village in VR. And I checked out No Man's Sky in VR because those 3 games did get a VR patch. I also took a look at Arizona Sunshine Remake, Red Matter 2, and it seems like there was one more. But in any case, so those were the different games that I took a look at this morning. And to give you the short of it, Resident Evil 4 looked good, ran good, minimal reprojection. Resident Evil Village looked good, didn't run as good as Resident Evil 4 Remake, and the reprojection was a little more profound. It was a little more noticeable than Resident Evil 4 Remake, but it wasn't game breaking. No Man's Sky ran excellent, looked decent. There was some slight aliasing in the fine details, and as far as the reprojection goes, when I was out of my ship and on the ground, the reprojection was like minimal. But when I got in my ship and started flying around the planet and started turning, then I saw some noticeable reprojection. But again, it wasn't a deal breaker, but it was enough to see it. So out of all the games that I tested this morning on my earlier stream, I feel that Resident Evil 4 Remake was probably the one that shined the most. Because again, the first thing I noticed was no aliasing. It ran excellent. And the reprojection was minimal. And the reprojection is not going away. Because even the PlayStation 5 Pro, until proven otherwise, some of these games, I just don't think it could run it at a native 90 frames. Some of them, but the majority of them, no. And I think GT7 is a very demanding game. I think if GT7 in VR was on PC, it... Ouch. Ouch. Brown Hound. Yeah. Brown Hound. Ouch. Ouch. And ouch. um, but yeah, Resident Evil 4, it shined the most. And I know what I was gonna say. GT7 in VR, because I've been sim racing for years, and I can tell you on PC, the sim racing in VR on PC, the games are very demanding because you're basically running the game twice, flat screen and with VR. And so with that being said, if GT7 was on PC, I think you would need no less than a 3080 to run this in VR. So you could probably do it with a 3070 Ti, which one of my computers does have a 3070 Ti. But the thing about it is, if I was running GT7 on PC in VR, I would not use any of these frame generations. I would not use FSR. I would not use DLSS. I would not use the asynchronous space warp that comes with the Oculus app. I would run these natively. So that being said, if I was running GT7 on PC in VR, I would run it at a native 90 frames per second because that eliminates the blur. So that being said, I could probably get away with using a 3070 Ti if GT7 was on PC, but the graphics would be compromised. The graphics and the resolution. I would probably have to turn the resolution all the way down to like 2200, and I would probably have to set the graphics at low or medium settings. Whereas, as I told you guys, I've got 4 PCs: a 4090, a 3080 Ti, a 3070 Ti, and a 2070. Now my 3070 Ti PC, I was testing that one a couple of days ago. I was running Le Mans Ultimate at 2200p at medium settings, and I had to use the OpenXR toolkit to take the Steam VR aspect out of it to free up resources so I can get a stable 90 frames per second. It did drop a couple of times. So when I turned the graphics down to, I tweaked some of the graphics, turned the shadows down from high to medium and stuff like that, I was able to get a locked 90 frames. And then I jumped over to F124. I was able, at 2200p, I was able to run that at medium settings at a locked 90 frames per second. So that's why I was trying to tell people to race in VR on PC. At the very minimum, in my opinion, you would need at least a 3070 Ti to be able to run it at a native 90 frames per second at 2160p. All right, it's time to suit up. Could be me, but this waiting screen right here seems like it looks a little bit cleaner, but it's really hard to tell. Visually on GT7 on the PS5 Pro, visually the improvements are ever so slight. It is super hard to tell. Sometimes I say to myself, I'm not seeing improvements. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I see a slight improvement. So hopefully when it gets the patch, it will show us something definitive. So it looks like I'm in here with some higher tier B class drivers because they are setting lap times of 141.8. I was able to do a 143.3 with the Benz. So my pace won't be fast enough to win the race, but if I do some undercutting, I might be able to finish in the middle of the pack like I did a couple of races ago. Yeah, I'm second to last. Look at that shit. Absolutely. Hey, I appreciate you coming through, Roundhound. Appreciate it. I think this car seems to have a little bit more acceleration than the Ford GT. thank my lucky stars on that one. I don't know what happened to him. I was willing to give it to him. Oh boy. Oh shit! I gotta quit worrying about this car behind me and get to those other cars in front of me. Oh, time-wise, not one of my better races, but I did finish in the middle of the pack the way I expected. And so... All right. Okay. All right, so I think that's going to do it for me. I'm going to open up, go check out my roulette tickets, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, let's go open up these roulette tickets. So if I do this race again between now and Monday, I think I'm going to have to stick with the AMG. All right, let's open up the 4-star first. Because actually, I think the 6-star is going to be trash. Oh, how nice. An invitation to spend more money. And I can't use any of this shit. All motors. Pikes Peak special. So yeah, they giving me a motor for a car I don't have, which means I would have to go buy the car in order to use the motor. So the yeah, this game, that's the one thing I do not like about this game. The roulette tickets are a scam on this game. They give you minimal money. They give you invitation to go spend more money to go buy cars. Whenever they give you a car, if they give you some rinky-dink hatchback or something like that, then you can't do anything with it. And then they give you tuning parts for cars that you don't own, which means you have to spend money to go buy those cars in order to be able to use those parts. So the roulette tickets in this game to me are damn near useless. I don't drive production cars. I don't get into all that tuning stuff. I just give me my race cars so I can race. Give me my Group 3s, my Group 2s, and maybe even my Group 4s. And that's it. So, damn, we've been live for 2 hours. Holy shit. So, that's going to do it for me. Appreciate you all tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. I don't really have anything planned between now and Tuesday. Well, actually, Monday. It depends on what the daily race is for GT7 on Monday. If that's a daily race that I like, then I could possibly come back Monday. Otherwise, look for me to come back Tuesday or Wednesday on Le Mans Ultimate, depending on what that daily race is. So, thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you on the next one. Until then, you all know the line. Wakanda forever. Long live the king, and deuces.